Yo, hey, this is our Saturday evening call that we have every Saturday at TSL Online, and we are talking about the friend zone, and we always talk about the friend zone. Everybody wants to know about the friend zone. We actually have a PDF called Killing the Friend Zone that you should check out, and we'll make available in some area. We also have webinars about the friend zone that are on our membership site and all that fun stuff. But here's the thing, man. Number one, we think about the friend zone all the time and it fucks with us. And it's been a long time since I've been in it. But even in this discussion that we had tonight, I was talking about a time when I was stuck in the friend zone. And it's like, how the fuck do you get out? Well, there's two things to this. Okay, so the first thing is that everybody wants to know, who's asking this question, has a friend that they want to convert into a lover. How do you take your friend and turn them into a lover? And dude, that's the worst fucking place to be. And the first thing I'll tell you is that it's possible. It's absolutely possible. These things can happen, but it's dependent upon a few principles. But let me just tell you, if you make one woman about your sexuality, you're ruining your sexuality. You're automatically cutting it and dividing it and moving it into all these places where it doesn't have to be. And it's really a shitty place to be. Now, don't get me wrong. We all get there. I've been there. You know, we could all be there again, where we see a woman, we become friends with her, we end up on that social level, and we would want anything to turn her into somebody who, you know, really likes us. And we follow all the right things. We're nice, we're cordial, we're everything that she says she doesn't like about all the guys she dates and gets used by, or her boyfriend that fucking sucks or is half-assed that she complains to us about, you know, breaking up with and all that sort of shit. But that is the worst place to be. And if you get stuck there, what I would tell you is sure, you're not going to stop pursuing her. Continue to pursue her. Take these things that we're going to talk about and do them. But at the same time, try and date other people. Like serious shit. You have to be able to do that. In order to have a clear head, you need to be around other women, hopefully dating other women. If you want to be sleeping with other women, but you need to be engaged in that. Like that. Otherwise you will not think straight. You'll get fucking blinded by the pink and you will not be able to function, and it'll just fuck you up in every single way. And that is what happens. I mean, there's no way around it. So take that advice. Now, if you do want to pursue her, here's the thing. You need to stop being her friend. You need to, number one, be willing to lose her as a friend. All right. And here's the thing, and we talk about this all the time. You are actually lying to her. You are being full of shit by repressing that, by not going too far, by not pushing the limits, by not escalating and all that sort of stuff, because you don't want to be an asshole to her. You don't want to, hurt her in some way and yada, yada, yada. Dude, you need to be willing to do that. Why? Because it's the truth. It's what you feel. You and your interactions with her, what you value, being her friend, connecting with her, being around her, her respecting you, all that sort of stuff is a lie, because you are literally suppressing a massive part of you, the biggest part of you. You are leaving in the dust. Okay. So how do we do this? So that's step one. You have to be willing to do that, or else we're not having a discussion. You're in the friend zone. You're going to stay there. Okay. If you're not willing to live your truth and honor your sexuality, you know, at the expense of her maybe not liking you and not going for it, then you have no business being her boyfriend. You have no business fucking her. Maybe it's not even her boyfriend. You have no business, you know, having her give her sexuality to you if it's based on a lie. And man, that's the sad thing. So many men want to base their sexuality, their social lives on a lie just because they think they're not fucking good enough. It's horrible. So if you get that mentality down, okay, if you want to step forward, then here are the things. Number one, you need to isolate. You need to be alone with her. Seduction can happen in a group, but it pretty much doesn't happen in a group unless you're at some odd setting like an orgy, or there's a bunch of people on drugs and drinking, and you know the culture is made for that. You've got to be isolated. Isolation makes it so much easier to sexually escalate. Now, the thing is you're probably going like, she's my friend, we're always alone. Okay, cool. The second thing is when you're isolated, or perhaps separate from isolation, but isolation I would say is the first priority, you've got to show intent. You've got to show direction. You've got to be able to speak with your intention of sex, of saying, I like you. And this is where things get a little bit crazy, because you're going like, all right, I'm willing to step it up. I'm willing to not suppress myself and torture myself just because this girl might reject me. And, I'm willing to actually be honest, and accept the consequences of that. But you also have to think, how do I tactfully do it? So how do I be honest with my urge and do it in a way where it can be heard the best? All right. So a lot of the times we do this in the wrong way, guys. And this is where you should pay fucking attention. A lot of times we talk. Okay. We talk, we explain, we make it logical, all this sort of stuff. And I got nothing wrong with being honest verbally, but it is not the best way to put all your eggs in one basket. Like, of course, you verbally are going to communicate with all people in all situations to some point, but that should only be a small piece of your communication with her about intent. And here's the reason why. This is a confusing thing. You're her friend, okay? She may have attraction towards you. She may want to sleep with you. She may not have ever thought about it. But if you bring it up, it's going to be a pressure infused thing. It's not going to be a clear decision. Perhaps she does have a boyfriend. Perhaps she's dated other people. Perhaps she's had a bunch of bad relationships. And so if you bring it up logically and verbally, it's going to get stuck into this argument and confusion. And that's not because, she can't understand. It's not because, she has some sort of problems, but it's because anybody wouldn't be able to understand. Think about this. Like if you had your best friend and they were like, they're your best fucking friend, everything works. It's a dude, you go to baseball games together and whatever. And he goes, you know what? I want to start a business with you and let's do this. It would fucking be difficult, and it might be a full green light, but that's business. When you enter into sex and relationships, that's different. Okay. And that is mega different. She is now going to lose her, it depends on your dynamic, but her friend who she always bitches to about her relationships. If she fails with you, who's the nice guy, that means that it's not the guys she dates. She's failing with the nice guy that she is trying to date. And so that means it's her. There's so much that goes on the line and there's way more that we could even talk about. So realize the verbal game is going to have a lot of resistance wrapped around it. All right. So that's super important. What we have to do is we have to have actions and we have to have choices and paths where she could walk back on and show her desire for that. So how do we do this? This is like some confusing, magical shit, Steve, that you're talking about. Like we have to show intent, but we can't just say it. Okay. So a situation where this might be is we're alone with her. We're doing whatever we're doing. We're getting ice cream. She's listening to Adele while eating fucking bonbons and bitching about whoever that she dated and, all sorts of shit. And you might say something like, okay, look, I really want to tell you, this or talk to you about this, but, you're really an amazing woman. We're obviously good friends and I feel really connected with you. Okay. So that's something a friend would say. Okay. And it sounds important. That's another thing. Like she has to respect you in it. This is a big deal. You're sharing something with her that has meaning. Okay. And she has to take it like that. So it's like, look, you're a very special person. You're an important person in my life. All right. So we get her to listen. And then perhaps we say something. We might go verbal. I have no problem going verbal. You just can't keep that as the only way. And we say something like, look, I've always liked you and thought of you is more of a friend than anything. But at the same time, like you talk about all these guys and man, I could do better. I would love the opportunity to be that guy with you. Okay. So that's being verbal, right? Now I've done this for a long time. Here's what you motherfuckers are going to do instead of doing what I said. I said something pretty direct, pretty like what I wanted. And I'm not saying, so I want to say something and I think you're really special and you mean a lot to me, but you date all these guys and they suck. And I think I could be better. No, I am saying with intention, like, look, you are making a mistake. I care about you. I care about you. Do you listen to me? I'm speaking with myself. And I have always thought of you more than just a friend. And I want to be that guy. Okay, here's what happens when you say that. Okay, as soon as a guy shows any pressure, and here's where you got to get a little bit ninja-like, where it's not going to be all verbal. Okay, so one of the things is that that's going to immediately happen. She's going to show resistance, and she's going to show like, wait, I don't want to have this conversation. Well, whatever, I'm going to change the subject. She may try and address it. Well, you're my friend, and this and that, and so on, and blah 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 blah, and maybe it could have da 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 blah 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 blah, and it will happen right there at that moment. That's something you can bank on, and you should prepare for. And then you just say this. It's like, look, I'm not asking like for a quick reply. Don't overthink this. Like, don't make it too complicated. Just be quiet. Okay. Just calm down. Okay. And so this is super important when a woman, really anybody, but in this situation, this is about men and women talking. When you show intent to a woman and you offer her something that has pressure, that has to do with her sexuality, her ability to have relationships, that's going to affect her emotionally, and you put that out there, like, look, I want you, like, let's make this happen. Let's talk about it. She's going to show resistance. That will happen. And it's going to come out verbally. She's going to give you all these excuses, and you're going to be unprepared for them because it's girl talk and it's not guy talk. Well, here's how guy talk shuts up girl talk. You say, stop, calm down. I don't want you to think about it. We're not having a discussion. You don't need to argue back. Like, I don't want that. Like, that's a part of the problem. Okay, so you stop it. You stop it. You halt the argument or the discussion or the logical weighing of the scales of why this is right or wrong when you're really communicating with her fears and potentially your fears. And so you say, look, we don't need to talk about this. Like, I don't even want to talk about it. I don't want to have this back and forth, complex, like whatever confusing thing about it, because that's the last thing you need. All I want to know is that you feel good with me. Okay. And so the reason why we're offering that, we're offering a choice, and this is super important. This is super, super important. Nothing means anything to somebody without choice. A lot of times in pickup, they call it investment, but I don't want to talk about it like investment because that's like, she's giving me this weighable thing. She's giving me something of value. That's not it. All I'm asking for is for her expression. Okay. Not her erratic fucking, I don't know, like, we're so good and I like you in that way, but you're really cool, but it's like quiet. I'm not saying that for you to be confused. Okay. We stop that resistance. And then we say, look, all I want to know is that you enjoy hanging out with me and you feel comfortable, you feel safe, and you feel like you could be you. And you also feel that you like it when I see you in that way, when I see you as how you are. All right? Very, very particular. Like, in fact, when I'm saying that, you should actually write that down. I should write that down and put it in a PDF. But if you were to actually say and break down those things, because this is the actual thought process that I'm kind of assuming, but I know from having a lot of experience with women that they're thinking. It's like, look, just shut up. I'm not saying this to make you confused or whatever, or get in this argument. I just want to know that you like spending time with me. All right. And I want you to know that that I love you being you, that you feel safe to be yourself around me, to be who you are, and that you also like it when I can actually see you for you. And why the hell would you get in the way of that? Okay, so that's a great way of putting it. Great way of putting it. I'm hitting on all those things, like her safety, her sense of self, her true sense of expression, and that how I like it, how she likes that I like. She likes that I like seeing her do her thing and be who she is, which a girl who dates a bunch of bad guys never has a guy that does that. Okay. So now I want to put that into some sort of an action or some sort of true gesture, true expression. And so it's very easy because all it has to be is at the simplest, lowest level of yes. The simplest, easiest thing to do. We always talk about that. We want to go for the easy yes. So perhaps we're eating ice cream, we're listening to Adele, and we're talking about her shitty relationships. And then she's about to go off on Florence and the Machine and how amazing she is to sing along with in the car. And we go, look, before we get into Florence and the Machine and the next Adele song and her latest album, I just want you to sit here and have ice cream and tell me about who you are as a woman and fully express that and allow me to like it. No bullshit. Okay, so let's translate this into guy language. I am asking her to do an action. That action may seem idiotic to us because guys, we don't think in that way. But to a woman, this makes perfect sense. I'm saying you be yourself, not as a friend. You be yourself, but as a woman who can express herself fully to me about who she is and what she wants. You be you raw. Wipe off the facade, wipe off the barrier that keeps us friends, and fucking talk to me. Okay? So I'm just saying that by articulating it in a way that makes a little bit more sense to a woman. Like, all right, let's talk about stuff. Let's talk about, I want you to be you, you know, what you always wished you could be in front of whoever and yada, yada, yada. And fuck, man, like no bullshit. Like allow me to feel you and allow yourself to be, like stop trying to hide this shit. Like allow yourself to be you in front of me. And she may say, well, I am or whatever. You know, I am this way in front of you, blah, 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 blah. And you just say, no, just speak your truth. What are you feeling right now? You know, what is it that you were talking about? What do you really want from a guy? What do you really want in those things? All right. And get to that core. Like, and really what we're doing is we're trying to strip away all the resistance that could be around her saying, no, I'm much safer as a friend. You're the dude that I call up when I fucking, you know, want to sit on the couch and eat a bunch of shit, you know? And we're saying, well, wait a minute. Be the whole you. Don't just be that girl eating shitty food, you know, wishing that your life could change and singing inspirational music. Like, be you. And when she shows that and she starts to talk and open up and, you know, for maybe 5 seconds, but more like 30 seconds, maybe even 2 minutes, but not longer than that, where she starts going like, well, no, look, you know, I just want this. I want a guy to be this for me. I want a guy to be that. I want blah, 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 blah. And you could say, well, why don't you have that? Like, why don't you have it? Like, start challenging her. Like, why aren't you good enough for that? Why is it that it makes you afraid that I think that you're good enough for that, and then you push it away, but you want some fucking asshole who can tell you to shut the fuck up to do that? Like, why is that? Like, is that how low you think of yourself? Really? And, you know, it kind of uses this logical discussion to get her to pace down. But within that 2-minute time, you should say, hey, look, this whole time, all I've wanted to do was kiss you and feel you. And why are you afraid of that? So let's feel what that feels like. And man, if you don't want to do it, then, well, let's see what that feels like. Let's just go for the easy yes. Let's see what that feels like. Why are you afraid of it? Why are you afraid of what might be good for you? Now, you might get a bunch of resistance and all that sort of stuff. And then I would polarize it and either say, well, look, man, I think of you in this way. And I'm proud of it. I mean, being friends with you is actually dishonest. So I think we should stop. It's pretty easy to make that happen. Now, that was a verbal way that was heavy on the verbal, but we're using to get towards an action, get towards a choice. Let's turn that into a way which would actually be better, because you're probably going like, Jesus Christ, this is a lot to fucking memorize. I can't do this. Let's break it down to the principles. We're out there eating ice cream. She's listening to Adele. She's fucking getting all into it, bitching to you again about the dude that she likes that fucked up, and we're going, why can't I be that guy? And we say, hey, come here for a second. No, come here. Now look at me. You know, you have to be dominant. You have to be the guy that can be willing to say, all right, we'll no longer be friends, even if you're cool. And you're looking at her, whatever, you're talking to her, and you just say, hey, look, why do you always pick people that suck and talk to me about them? What would happen if you felt something with me right now? Boom, intent. Guess what happens when intent comes? Resistance comes. And she goes, what? Why are we doing this? No. It's like, hey, be quiet. Like, look, nobody's around, nothing's happening, but here, give me your hand. Touch me how you'd want to touch me. Like, feel my hand. Put your hand in my hand, and just let me know you like what this feels. Why would you get in the way of that? You know, why would you push that away? If we were to follow a TSL pattern of 6 points of escalation, then we would show our arousal to her expression. If she actually did just grab our hand and just squeeze it and feel comfortable. And you could even say, feel comfortable with me like I was your boyfriend. What would that feel like? You know, and then I would jump forward and say, look, all I can think about right now is kissing you. Like, we don't have to be anything. Just go for it. Or let's just feel what that feels like. And it's interesting, man, if you ever get in that situation, this is actually some very true stuff. You're talking to somebody, you're getting close, whatever. If you get this close, if you get like nose to nose, cheek to cheek, and you stay there, like as much as my face is on this microphone and my like lips are pretty much touching it, if that were a human being and you got in that position and just said, well, like, look, come here. Why are you afraid to do this? The next move that everybody feels is they want to kiss you, even if they may not like you. Now, if they're totally repulsed by you, of course, everybody has choice and they can push you away and say, no, stop, this is disgusting. But if they're really saying no, they fucking walk away. They leave. You know what no sounds like. But if they're like, no, I don't know, I'm afraid, I'm confused, I don't know what's going on, blah, 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 da, 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 and just say, look, what do you feel like doing? And you're this close to him. What do you feel like doing? I can guarantee you that kiss is there. And that's action. That action puts you into escalation. And the 3 things that you need to get out of the friend zone, in fact, the 4 things, but the first thing that the overall thing is you have to be willing to not be your friend. Why the fuck are you her friend if that's not what you want, right? Then when we actually climb on that ladder, isolation, be alone. It's easier. Number 2, intent. Say you like her, show you like her. Show it with your body language, your eye contact, your verbals, whatever it is. But realize that once you do that, resistance is going to come. 3, escalate it. Put it into a situation, put it into an action where she is doing something that a girlfriend would do, that somebody that acts in her passion would do, and not somebody that could, be afraid and have tension over it. And I'll tell you this, the interesting thing about that is that when people start speaking with their sex, dude, everything becomes a lot more clear. And we really think it's the opposite. A lot of women, a lot of men, it's like, if I speak with my sex, then I get carried away, then I do stupid shit, then I do bad stuff, and blah, 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 blah. No, you only do stupid shit and bad stuff when you're repressed, and then you speak with your sex. But if you could speak with your sex, you'll be clear. Okay, that first time you guys sleep together, maybe you're like, I don't know if this was a good idea, but guys don't always think that way, but they can. But girls, if they're not sure, they're like, oh man, I made a mistake. Hey, hold on. There's that social mind. Cool, we can have that discussion. Let's have that discussion. Okay, and then there's that sexual mind. Let's have that discussion, and let them fully come to fruition. But when they're not fully combined, and when we live in repression, that happens. There's all this chatter. So you got to learn to speak with your sex, and that's the best thing you can do. So look, stop being a fucking friend. Stop being dishonest with yourself. Like, don't end up in that situation. It's been a long time since I have, but I know when I'm in it, it's like impossible to get out of it. Be willing to lose that friendship over being sexual. And then those 3 things: isolation, intent, then escalate it. All right. Get people in an action, get people where they can have choice, and realize that if you get caught up in her fear logical discussion, you'll never get out. And she wants to get out of that. So do her that favor.